Welcome to the Rise Weekly Review for March 1st through March 8th, 2021. On Friday, a shooting in South Chicago left 2 teens and a man injured, one of them critically. Around 2:50 p.m., the three were standing outside on the 8000 block of South Euclid. According to police, someone began firing shots at them, striking all three. A 16-year-old was critically wounded as bullets struck them in the chest and hand. They were taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center. An 18-year-old was struck in the arm and reportedly went to South Shore Hospital. The 27-year-old was hit in the foot and side and last listed in fair condition at Trinity Hospital. A weapon was recovered at the scene. On Thursday, a man was shot by an officer on the South Shore line at the Hegewisch stop. According to CPD, a 33-year-old man, Alfredo Alanis of Lansing, was causing a disturbance on the train coming in from Hammond. He allegedly became angry, threatening a worker who asked him to buy a ticket at the next stop. The worker asked for assistance, and an officer from the Northern Indiana Commuter Transportation District confronted Alanis and asked him to leave. After refusing several times, Alanis finally complied and began yelling at passengers as he exited. The officer then reportedly put his hands on Alanis' arm, and then Alanis began physically assaulting the officer. Alanis struck his face, holding him in a headlock, when the officer shot Alanis in the abdomen. Alanis was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he was last reported in critical condition. The officer was taken to Trinity Hospital for facial abrasions and lacerations. Alanis is being charged with 1 felony count of aggravated battery to a peace officer. On Sunday, a 43-year-old man was shot about a block down from Russell Square Park in the bush. Around 2:35 p.m., the man was walking on the 8200 block of Coles when he heard gunshots. The man felt pain and had been stricken in the thigh. He was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center and last reported in good condition. A fire in South Chicago on Monday, the 1st, left a person injured. Around 10:50 p.m., a fire was reported in a 4-story multi-unit apartment building at 8020 South Yates. According to fire officials, the fire quickly spread throughout the building before it was extinguished. A male victim was taken to a nearby hospital in good condition, and firefighters rescued his dog.
I ran to look, I knew it a pop, big old pop. And when my window popped, I knew I had to get out of there.
No reports were released on the cause of the fire. On Saturday, Illinois State Police and Northwest Indiana officers chased a vehicle in what news reports describe as like a scene out of the Blues Brothers. A 2011 silver Hyundai Electra carjacked near the Eisenhower Expressway was chased for 45 miles from Chicago into Merrillville. The chase began around 10:18 p.m. at eastbound Interstate 290 and Racine Avenue, then continued along Chicago's expressway into Indiana. The chase ended when the vehicle struck a median on US 30 just west of Merrillville Road. Inside the vehicle, officers found a 15-year-old girl driving, along with 2 other passengers, both male, aged 15 and 13. All were from Chicago. During the chase, several squad cars were damaged, including one that ran into a wall and caught fire, and a second that struck another vehicle. A third Illinois State Police car was damaged after driving over a spike trap set by Indiana police that flattened its tires. No serious injuries were reported from the incident. Charges are expected to be filed against the driver. In national news, on Saturday, reports came out that the FBI has linked a Trump White House member to a member of the right-wing extremist Proud Boys. According to reports, location, cellular, and call record data revealed communications between the two just days before the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol. The FBI did not find evidence of communications between Republican Congress members and the group during the coup attempt, as some Democratic lawmakers had claimed. On Thursday, the FBI arrested a former State Department aide on charges related to the attack. The aide, identified as Federico Klein, was seen in videos assaulting officers and is the first member of the Trump administration to face criminal charges from the incident. In other local news, a months-long hunger strike in Chicago's East Side neighborhood has come to an end. The hunger strike was launched by activists to push Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot to deny a permit for Reserve Management Group, or RMG, to expand their facilities with a new recycling shredder in what activists are calling a move of General Iron from Lincoln Park. RMG purchased a company known as General Iron from the influential and politically connected Lepkan family in 2019 from an effort that began during the Rahm Emanuel administration. RMG claims the development, called General Iron 3, is a new facility, but activists have pointed out that they are relocating equipment and personnel. General Iron has a history of environmental violations, including explosions that occurred during RMG's takeover of the facility. The hunger strikers, which included a George Washington High School teacher, an organizer for the Southeast Youth Alliance, and members of the United Neighbors of the 10th Ward political group with ties to the Democratic Socialists of America, had suffered a number of physical and psychological stresses from the action. The hunger strike successfully helped draw national attention to the issue as activists throughout the city joined in actions in solidarity with the hunger strikers. On the final days of the hunger strike, activists and city allies staged a protest near the home of Mayor Lori Lightfoot. The hunger strike ends as criticisms emerge of groups attempting to politicize and profit off the Southeast Side struggle. Some groups are questioning some of the actions of other socialist groups involved that they claim are attempting to hijack the movement for political gain. Criticisms have been launched against Democratic Socialist Byron Cicho Lopez and others who have helped organize and support the effort in what some see as an attempt to launch mayoral and aldermanic challenges in future city elections. These concerns have raised even more questions as new information comes out about socialist environmental group leaders being paid by organizations with ties to corporate, banking, and real estate interests. The concerns revolve around their being funded to use the RMG struggle on the east side to push rezoning of the Calumet River in South Chicago and what some are calling a 606-style green gentrification scheme. The struggle against the allocation of resources in South Chicago has been ongoing for decades, with gentrifiers urging more funding go to amenities for wealthy realtors, with the opposition arguing for resources to go to workforce development and green industry. However, groups have not identified what green industry looks like. And finally, before we end this week in review, we'd like to acknowledge the efforts of a Chicago activist by the name of Pete Keller. Keller, who grew up in Chicago's Cabrini Green housing projects, lived a difficult life that eventually saw him involved in gangs and drug dealing. At 51, Keller has worked to turn his life around and written several books about his experiences and has worked to mentor young people to lead better lives. During the week, Keller's dreams of helping people came a step closer as he opened a new community center for his organization called ULAN, or United Legion, One Nation, in Avalon Park to help the community. And that ends our weekly review for March 1st to March 8, 2021. Thank you for joining us for this week in review. Peace.